Hello, everybody. Welcome to Echo Underground. I am Shanique.
This is Mike.
And on this podcast, we talk about music, movies, and
Whatever feel like watching or seeing or playing, we do a bunch of weird random stuff here. We have no real script. We just sort of go by ear. We just wing it here, all right? Welcome to the podcast. Are you ready?
all right. So, guys, hit us up on Twitter at Echo U Podcast. Let us know what you guys think, and also retweet and share our videos and stuff. So, getting into it, today's episode. This is round two for the Gorillaz for us. We're doing their new album called The Now Now. And I'm gonna give this album. I was struggling with to grade this album, not because I thought it was particularly good, because I really didn't like it, and I didn't know how bad to rate it. So I think I'm gonna go with a C minus. After some long thinking about it, C minus is what I'm gonna give it. Here's why. To be honest, most of the album's boring. I ain't gonna lie about it. Couple of the songs sound the same, and there's only 11 songs, and that's really bad on a short album. I didn't understand why some of the songs were called what they were, but maybe there's some backstage stuff that I don't know about. Um, what positives though? Great, it's produced really well. That's one thing I will always give the Gorillaz. They have a great production team. Um, the beats were amazing. I had no problem with any of the beats on any of the songs. Personally, I just felt they didn't utilize it really well. And I think that's about it. What do you think of this album?
I thought this album went for a specific sound, and it's weird because they called it the Now Now, even though the sound kind of came from like the 80s and 90s, kind of like West Coast, electro punk kind of club. Not electro punk, but like electro kind of funky kind of clubs. And it's really weird. 'Cause I remember like hearing a lot of these like certain sounds and like I don't know if anybody remembers this game of Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Like I thought a lot of the sound came from like that kind of era, and I'm like, why are you calling it the Now Now? But whatever. They definitely focused on keeping that sound consistent, and it kind of works for them and against them in the same token because I had a hard time getting through the good parts I found in the beginning. I guess the variation that they stuck with was a little too consistent. It stuck a little too close to the mold that they were going for. It's just my opinion too, because it's just I think it's a good era to like take inspiration from music. But when they actually like put it all together into one package, it's like it's not like their last album that they had that we reviewed, which you can check out that podcast on too. But this one is more like you know it got stale quick for an 11 song album, like Shanique said, and it kind of hurt. So it kind of just landed in like the flat C range for me, to be honest.
Yeah, it sounded like a Gorillaz album, so I wouldn't say it didn't sound like that, but I think that also hurt it too. It's like we've heard this from you guys before, and then a lot of the songs sound the same. But um based on the two albums I heard, maybe the Gorillaz are just not a band for me. I don't know. I really don't know. I like some of their songs now. I do have a top 3 though. And then I think those are the only songs I actually like on the album. So,
I think I only have really like it's not like they're only songs I have on the album that I like, but I think like I don't know, only two really stood out to me. I feel like I'd be stretching if I like threw a third or fourth in there for me, to be honest. I really only have two that I give a shit about.
all right. Well, I'm gonna give my number 3, and it's Humility, and it's featuring George Mason. It's hella smooth, which a lot of the songs are really smooth. The way they give the vocals. It's really feel good. I love the beat on the track. It's also the opener of the album, so I was feeling optimistic when I heard it. Then the rest of the album happened. It's relaxing and it's very easy to listen to, and I just like how Gorillaz and this guy created this track. So yeah, that's my number 3. What do you think about that song?
This is my number one actually,
Oh, go
and
for it.
I really enjoyed the song because my first impression for the album was like great. The rest of the album's gonna sound like this, and I have no real problem except it literally sort of like stuck in the mold, or there's like one that kind of sounded like a country-esque kind of song or whatever. We'll get to that one, but this one was a very positive song, and you get real positive vibes out of it. It's really catchy chorus. It's very like singable pretty much. And I had an actual like fun time listening to this song. I figured that Gorilla has pulled off songs like this before, and like the fact being it's the first one on the album, I was like, oh great, this is gonna go in the right direction. And then like Swing and a Miss kind of happened, so there was that.
All right. What's your? Oh, I guess you don't have a number three, so let's just go into my number two. My number two is Trans. I think that's what it's called. And it's also another feel good song, and it's a song right after the first one. It definitely is a typical Gorillaz song. Like you can't hear this song and not think of them. The production is top notch on it, and oddly enough, I thought the beat sounded a little eerie, but it worked for the song, so I didn't have a problem with it, and I felt it was kind of catchy. What do you think of Trans?
Another song that landed in the weird retro sound kind of thing for me. Wasn't super huge on like this song in particular because I think I was still kind of riding a high of humility, and this came right after it. And like the bar got missed because, like I said, guys, opening songs for me they're great. As far as like giving me a first impression for an album, especially like when the form of an album goes like good opener, then we're gonna give some good content, then we're gonna close strong. It kind of got to be assigned to me that the Psalm album wasn't going to go and keep the same level. Granted, it was only two songs in out of 11 song album, but I was starting to get worried. Like, okay, we've kind of missed the bar, but it's all right. Maybe it's just me being harsh. But it kind of landed in that okay range for me. Like the sound was still unique, and and this is even the second song also read another thing. I know I'm like rambling on now, but this is where I first realized that this whole like '80s sound was gonna like kick in and stay there, which I definitely ended up being correct about, minus I believe one song which I think was country esque inspired, but whatever. We'll get to that when we get to that.
All right. What's your number two? Since we already know your number one.
My number two is the one with, let me see here. Yep, Hollywood, featuring Snoop Dogg and Jamie Principle. This one had some more funk in it, and like I think the addition of someone like Snoop Dogg in his verse, granted not like a super exceptional verse, but I feel like his kind of sound and like flow kind of meshed well with the sound that the Gorillaz was going for on this album. That and Jamie Principle, who I believe was the higher pitching sounding person on the song right here. I feel like everyone contributed something as far as like this weird like retro funk sound that we were getting out of it. And I have a real hard time calling it like an actual name. I keep calling it retro funk or retro like retro electro in some cases. I had like a bunch of weird notes over here, guys. You gotta forgive me. But like I don't know, it kind of landed in those kind of. I feel like those words that I'm using for it kind of describes it a little bit better. But I don't know. All three individuals, I'm saying three, Gorillaz is like is a band, but like all three, discernible voices you could hear out of it. I feel they all added something to the song. I feel like Snoop was kind of cool to hear him. Jamie, I feel like he came on the tail end and played a good part, and on the chorus. And the Gorillaz, like they. This is where I thought of Shanique's first review for Trans, where it's like that's an unmistakable sound, and it all kind of came together in a nice little package for me.
All right, and it's funny enough, that is my number one song for the album,
Ah,
which is
very
funny.
nice.
We picked literally the first three. Um,
Yep.
so Hollywood featuring Snoop Dogg and Jamie Principle. The sound alone to me is to it's the most unique sound on the album. Everything else kind of blends. Like everything else is basically a combination of the first three, and really just the first two, because this is the most upbeat song on the album. Snoop Dogg verse was hella smooth, and he played it safe, but it was perfect for this song.
I
Jamie,
think so as well. Right.
yeah, Jamie Principle did really good. The beat was really sick, and I thought it was catchy. So overall, I had the most fun with this record, and it kept me the most entertained. Now, next song, Kansas. um, it's also very smooth as well. The chorus to me was solid. I think the chorus is the best part of the song. I didn't get blown away by it, but um, it was very nice to listen to. I don't have a problem, but it just for me moving from Hollywood to Kansas was like it shifted the tone of the album, and I'm not sure it was in a good way. What do you think
It
of
was like
Kansas?
moving. It was like moving from Hollywood to Kansas. Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
I can't even like defend that corniness, but yeah, I wasn't. It was a smooth transition, but I didn't like the transition at the same time. What do you think of Kansas?
um, the song title threw me off a little bit initially because I'm like, I saw this in Idaho or there. I'm like, I don't know where we're going with this because I couldn't really find no correlation. Like, they're not really like big places on like the sound you guys were going for. But whatever. I guess I'm just reading too much into the some of the kind of context I'm making up for it. But Kansas, I feel like it was a very ambient sounding kind of song. It's not necessarily a song that had like the lyrics stuck in my head, but like, the sound itself was definitely a standout for me. It was another one of the little funkier ones because, and this is kind of my context sort of like started like taking growth into its own little monster. Because I'm like, how does a song named Kansas, have like a nice little retro '80s funky electro kind of sound? And I was like, oh, sure. I guess I dig it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It still kind of missed the bar from the first three, but not in a bad way. There are other songs that let's sort of just miss the target altogether. Like we weren't even on the same page, not the same book, not the same library where the book was, but it was cool though. And right here, even though it was a sign of the times and sign of things to come, I actually would have a decent, I actually had a positive experience with the song. Let's put it that way.
All right. Next one, Sorcerers with like a Z.
Uh-huh.
Um, it sounded very similar to Kansas, so I had to double check. Are we still in the same song? Um, which is probably why I have the same comments for this song as well. Very smooth, easy to listen to, catchy chorus. The beat is the best part of the song, and it did remind me of Kansas, so I thought the transition was smooth. But I wanted the album to pick up from there, and then it didn't. But hey, it's all good. It's all good. What do you think of Sorceress?
Now, this is where my literal fall off start to show up. Because even though the sound was good, I realized, like, actual song quality wasn't, like, taking me anywhere. It was cool to listen to because I really enjoyed the era of music that they're drawing inspiration from. I just didn't see how they were bridging the gap between that era and this one and making it their own thing. Cause like lyrics didn't sell me on anything. I was pretty much only there for like the funky ass sound, and that's the end of my experience with the song, which is a little strange because I'm like, you know, we got a good thing to work with here. We have like an excellent inspiration to work with here, but now I don't know. I think execution sort of just failed on their end. Even though they had like a good like baseline to draw from to create their music.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I didn't particularly enjoy how it was executed. And then we get to the song that to me is like the worst song on the album. It's
Here
Idaho.
we go.
It's
Here we go.
Idaho. I can't. It's so boring to the point I was falling asleep listening to it, and not in a good way. It put me to sleep, but I don't think it was supposed to. So just no, it's just too boring to even. It's so boring. It doesn't even deserve a real review. So I'm done. What do you think of Idaho?
Now, this is the one that I know. Listen, guys, I ramble on a lot about some of these songs, and what I get is this guy singing about Idaho. Now, clearly, maybe you guys know something we don't. Maybe we are missing some context. Let us know. Educate us. I've only been through the song once. It actually might be worth a revisit because I'm literally like lost in a loop here. Because my at this point, my suspicions are just straight up confirmed. Like this album just sort of fell off, and I don't know what's going on. It's like we said this about the NERD album. They were trying to experiment with something, but this wasn't necessarily an experiment for Idaho. Idaho knew what its sound was, and its sound was different from everything else. One of these things are not like the other. Like, listen, man, like we got a country song in the middle of like all this clubbish sounding music, and I need an explanation. That's pretty much where I'm at with this.
You know, it's weird. You keep saying club sound. I wouldn't listen to most of these songs in the club, and I don't think anyone would
Not
even play it.
not a modern club. I keep saying I'm taking some blah 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 blah. They keep taking like inspirations from the 80s, and when I think of the 80s, a lot of these like I'm not sure how to describe like the instruments used for this kind of sound, but that's where I think is I think it's coming from. I'm not saying it's an objective thing, guys. If you're like Shanique and you're assuming that that's where I'm like thinking like okay, you just haven't heard any club music that sound like that. Listen, guys, it's an opinion. Let me have this. Okay, first
Okay.
amendment. Sit down.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Anyway,
Yeah, that's fine. Just don't. I just rather people like not assume where like my opinion is coming from because an opinion. It's coming from me. I think it's just coming from like an '80s club sound. It's because, and like I said earlier on, I thought of Vice City. That's really where I like thought if you like play the radios like Vice City or Ballad of Gay Tony, if anyone remember those. I know I'm talking about a lot of Grand Theft Auto stuff, but if you like play the things from like those kind of things, you realize, hey, that's kind of where the sound sounds a little familiar. But it's okay if you don't agree, guys. You can chew me up like Shanique is. That's completely fine.
yo, I'm letting you talk. There's no chewing. Throw me under the bus again, like always. Anyway.
I'm on the bus. I got skipped. I'm about to say something, but that's gonna sound a little sus.
Anyway, next one, Lake Zurich. This song doesn't have words. It's an instrumental, and it's just a beat essentially, and there's nothing there. It's boring. Not boring. Boring, not the right word. It's plain. That's the actual word. Not really boring, but just a plain sounding song. I don't hate it. I don't like it. I just don't care. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this at all. I'm at the point of the album I just want it to be over. Like I'm just done. What do you think of Lake Zurich?
Another eyebrow raiser. Like I, this is ironically enough the only song I went through twice because I can appreciate a good instrumental, but it took me to the end of the song to realize that because Michael's stupid. But so I went through it again, and I'm like, all right. Clearly, I fell for the whole shoot the whoop thing, where I was like listening to the whole song, waiting for lyrics, and I was like, oh, there are no lyrics. So after my brain cell decided to actually catch up with what was going on, I just had to go through it one more time, and then I realized I was pretty much just listening to like really cool elevator music. So that's pretty much all. The end of that for real. Like I don't hate it. I don't think it's boring. I just think it's like an interesting move on their end to put this in there, because now it's like I wish this got fleshed out into something else. I wish the sound was a little more, not exaggerated, but like well defined and like fit its own mold for something else. I don't really know where to go with this one. I mean, it's really hard to judge an instrumental on this podcast too because I bank a lot of what I'm feeling on certain songs on the actual lyrics. And it's not even like it's the first song that we've gone through that had only, music with it. But this one, I feel like it was just awkward placement for the album. I, we kind of need something to bring us back up after this low ditch we're going through right now, and this did not help. So that's really, I mean, I don't know. It just didn't contribute to this album's recovery, to be honest. That's just really where I'm at with it.
I agree. I don't really think the album actually recovered, but then we get Magic City. Now, Magic City was better than the last two,
Hmm.
but it's still boring as shit though. And I didn't care about this song either. It's not memorable. I don't even remember what was said in the song, and I just finished the album like not too long ago. Yeah, if it was Magic, I didn't. I missed it. Flew right over my head. I don't know. I don't know. Not really a fan of this. It didn't leave anything to be desired. But again, it's not bad. It's just boring. This album basically almost put me to sleep. So can't really fuck with that song. What do you think of Magic City?
I know this probably sounds weird to say, but it kind of sounded like stoner music. Because, like, it was literally just, like, really drawn out lines and lyrics and words. Like, where they're, like, they're not necessarily, like, singing a ballad or nothing like that. But, like, there's, like, a low-key, bassy, drawn out kind of song. It's really weird to describe this because it just sounds like someone was getting high to this the whole time. And, like, they're singing this at, like, the low point of Woodstock or some shit. But it was weird. Another eyebrow raiser. I couldn't really figure out where to place this. At this point, I'm just crossing my fingers like, come on, Gorillaz. I like a lot of your music from way back before you guys decided to like do this weird, comeback from last year or whatever it was. And that bar has been elusive to them apparently. But then again, I don't know. I can't knock someone for experimenting with sound, especially after you're gone for a while and you come back. We don't want some the old material you had from earlier. But if you're gonna do something new, you're, you're gonna need to go through a couple of rounds of testing to make sure it works. Because this right here, in my opinion, didn't necessarily work. It sounded like stoner music.
So I have a quick question for you. Have you actually listened to a full Gorillaz album before this podcast?
No, I have listened. Obviously, I don't know from last year, but yeah, I have listened to the ones before, especially because of their old hits with like, oh shit, now I'm forgetting the names. I know the videos now. I'm not forgetting the names. One was from an actor, and one was dun, 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 which is my first Gorilla song I listened to.
Feel
Completely forget
Good
the name
Inc.
of it. Feel Good Inc. And it's on my Spotify. I forgot the name. I'm not good at naming songs on the spots, guys. That's Shanique's thing. But yeah, I have gone through them. I do know that they do have some weird sounds. Yes, I know that's exactly where Shanique's going to go with this.
No, I was
But
just generally asking because I never have. I only heard like I've only seen their videos like Clint Eastwood,
Clint Eastwood, that's what I meant about the actor. God damn it, Michael.
dare I say, and then, like a couple other ones. But I've never. I was just asking like as a question. I wasn't trying to put you in the spot because I know I haven't. It's not giving me a good impression these last two albums, but
I think that this is going to be one of those cases where the further back you go, the better the music gets in their body of work. But that's just my opinion, guys. Guys, listen, if you want to chew me alive, put it down in the comments. Shanika loves reading them to me anyway. So let her know so she can let me know. So that I can start commenting back and be like, fuck y'all. I'm playing. I'm going to
what
say I'm
the
playing.
fuck? All right. Next one, Fireflies. Um, okay. Just
It's okay.
basically, this one actually was a decent song. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it, but at least I enjoyed it, and I wasn't bored to tears. But again, at this point, I'm really just waiting for the album to be over. Just like no. But Fireflies to me is one of the better songs on the album. What do you think of Fireflies?
I didn't really think much of it. This is one of the ones with like it's a song with like a really strong bass guitar in it, but it's moving really slow. You said one of the couple songs before this, I'll put you to sleep. This is the one where my eyes start to get drowsy. Because I think I don't know when your main instrument in a song is a bass guitar doing like long strums. It's like that's I don't know. I think I just found my new diet, like Sequel or something like that, because like that was like laying me out. And I was over. I mean, granted, I kind of listened to the song when I was already tired, but I wasn't like dead. Like trying to like bury my face in my bed tired. But like this one, like it put me under some hypnosis, and I was like ready to be like, okay, we'll resume this at a later date because today it's just not happening. They didn't show up for work. I'm not showing up for this song, so that's kind of where I'm at with this shit.
Next one is 1%. And I think they put like 1% worth of effort into making this song. It's
Wow.
there's nothing here. Why does this song exist? I don't even know. It's one of the worst. It's not even a bad song. It's so bland. It's nothing there. And by time I was really registering that I was listening to a song, it was over. So I don't really give a shit about the song. On to the next one. That's how I feel. What does Michael feel about this?
Literally the same way I felt about the last song. This song was also putting me out. Like it's another thing I forgot to mention. The latter half of this album, a lot of these songs I had a hard time hearing the lyrics. Maybe it's just me, and it's weird because the songs actually got slower. But for whatever reason, like the sound that they were going for actually like confused me, and I guess it's partly in the fact because I couldn't really focus on any lyrics to like try to get some context out of it. So it just ended up being like a long, drawn out mashup of like instrumentals in my head. I know there's actual like lyrics in there. I know there's probably some kind of context that I'm missing. There's probably a lot y'all could educate me on with this, but like with this song, 1% in the previous song did not help change like my opinion that this shit was like really putting me out. Like it turned into work at this point. It really did, and that's it. Kind of hurt because I really wanted to like whatever Gorillaz wanted to put out, but I don't know. I'm having also that NERD effect where it's like, damn man, y'all have like Pharrell here and all these good artists and whatnot, and then like I said this before, like a broken record, execution just didn't work out the way that I hoped it would.
You know, it's funny. NERD didn't put me to sleep. It was just so much going on. I was just like,
It was
I
too
was
busy. You're
confused.
right.
Yeah, I was confused most of the album. And then the final song, which at this point I was like, thank God, was I think it's Souk I, because it's Souk, right?
I feel
And
like it was I immediately thought it was a typo. Like someone was typing on the song name. Like the L is near the case, which I figured was make sense. And I'm like, oh no, I think it might have been something else going on here.
actually, I will say this. Even though this song was slow, I actually enjoyed it. This song I actually truly enjoyed. It was one of the slower plays, but it actually made me want to listen to it. Now again, I agree with you on not really able to hear the lyrics. Not because he was mumbling. I don't know. You're listening to the beat and his voice kind of blends with the beat, so you don't really hear the lyrics, but I have no problem with the song at all. It's one of the better songs on the album. Especially since 1% was just like trash. But trash is a very strong word. I've heard trash. It's not really trash. It's just lame, a little boring, little. Eh. But the last song on the album, it wasn't bad. It was slow, but I was able to just listen to it and have fun with it. So yeah, Sook, you're solid, solid ass song. Not gonna hate on it. What do you think of it?
Incorrectly spelled soul eye. Sure. I don't know. At this point, I realized if I had anything to say about it, I'd be reaching. It's literally my review for the song that were like a little too slow for me. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a little faster paced than those. 'Cause, like, at least the guitar in that one, it did have its own rhythm to the point where like it was noticeably different from the other songs. However, it didn't save the song for me. Shanika already noticed it, but the lyrics were really hard to latch onto it. Partly in the fact the last song, because after the song was taking a while to finish. I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, the album's done. Which also means that it was kind of a weak closer for me too. So I don't know. I feel like all the songs I actually liked in this album came out there maybe the first 5, maybe 4. Then the
First,
last bunch, everything like that. Huh?
no, I was saying for me it's the first 3, and then everything else. No.
Oh yeah, I can't even really disagree with that either. Because like I don't know, it, it just sort of like trailed off into the abyss after like it opened up, which is kind of sucks. Because then you know you just reached a 11 song album where probably maybe 30% of it was actually enjoyable, and that's not really okay. One thing I can really appreciate from this album is the sound and inspiration that they were taken from. The last parts, I won't necessarily say it was like the '80s retro funk stuff, but the first part definitely. Uh, the further on it moves, the slower it gets, the more psychedelic it gets, the more they depend on like long drawn out sound that kind of put you to sleep. The sound kind of you know I can see where some of the inspiration was coming from, but it just didn't really mesh well with me. That's just my thing.
All right. Well, I'm gonna assume that's your closing remark.
I'm
And
leaving it right there. Yeah,
okay.
point blank period.
All right. For me, closing remark on this album. I'm gonna be honest. Don't buy this. I wouldn't. Don't even waste your money on it. I say only the first 3 are even worth listening to, and even then, I still wouldn't buy them. This is just a no for me. But if you are a true and true Gorillaz fan, support your artists. Even though maybe not on this one either. I'm I would say that not all. I think just this sound that they're going for is not for me. It's too slow. It's too boring. And the funny thing, I can listen to slow. Sam Smith's last album, there was nothing upbeat about it, but I never got bored. It's just the delivery, the execution was just boring to me. And I was wide awake starting this album, and then I felt completely tired after listening to it. So definitely, this is a no go for me. I wouldn't even waste my money. This shit is trash. Skip this whole album, if I'm really being honest. And I think we covered everything. So I'm gonna close out this podcast by saying, hit us up on Twitter at EchoU Podcast and give us your opinion on this album. Were we tripping, or do you agree with us? Also, you can find us on any social media sites, including YouTube and Facebook. And if you listen to us on your phone, you can find us on many podcasting apps, all under Echo Underground Podcast. And we will see you guys the next episode. Bye.
See ya.